Hi, this is Ashley from TapGenes, and we are going to explore the relevant insights that we can gain from looking at our family's death certificates. Understanding the conditions that run in our families is a critical part of knowing our own risk and what we can do about mitigating that risk, but unfortunately, all we have to go from a lot of times are historical documents such as death certificates, which can often be illegible or confusing, or for the most part, both. So today we kind of want to cut through all of that and help you understand how you can work through the death certificates to gain some of those insights that are relevant to your own health. First, the thing I want to do is to actually take a look at what we're talking about here, which is a death certificate. So as you can see from this particular death certificate, there are several different causes of death listed, not only the main cause of death, but other contributing conditions. This is not something that you will get from every death certificate, but in this case we got kind of lucky that we can see these various things that may have contributed to this person's death. The unfortunate part about this is that a lot of it is sort of illegible, and even if we could read it, we wouldn't necessarily understand what it was saying because it's in medical speak, and most of us aren't doctors. And so if we don't know the terminology, it's kind of difficult to say, okay, well, if it's myocarditis, that means it's a form of heart disease. And we can't always make those connections on our own. So let's kind of take a look at this death certificate and see what we can come up with. So as you can see here, the first thing I have highlighted, we can kind of tell that it starts with a myo, but we aren't necessarily sure what the rest of that is. So in this case, a search engine is my friend. So I'm going to go to Google, and oftentimes just using the auto-suggest can really help you get down to the details of what you're looking at. So I know it starts with myo, so I start typing that in, and I see a few different options here. And I can see from the beginning that myocarditis is one of the main conditions that is coming up. And as I kind of go back and look at this death certificate, I see, yep, that's probably what that word is. So now I have that word, I can write that down, I know what that is, and I can also see on this death certificate that they had this condition for 2 years before passing away. But beyond that, I've got a couple of other conditions here, and so I'm going to go through a similar process with these. I can see that the second one on here looks like the word carcinoma, and in parentheses it has ovarian, and we just commonly know of carcinoma as cancer, right? So we can kind of determine, okay, this person had ovarian cancer, and we see from the death certificate that it was for 15 months. So in the middle here we have another few words, and we can kind of make out maybe a D-I, but really what I'm looking at here is the second word, right? It's not something I've seen often, but I can make out a lot more letters of the second word. I've got an M-E-L-L-I-T. And so when I do a Google search for that, I see the word mellitus come up. And so I see that the word diabetes is often associated with that. And so now I've got that full term there, and I can see that this person has had that for 20 years. So not only do I now have a cause of death, but I also have the related conditions that this person may have suffered from. So let's follow the lead now, right? We have all these conditions, we have all these things that we now know about this person's death and about their overall health. So let's start to check into those a little bit more. And the more that we look into it, the more that we can see that, they related to cancer, they were related to heart disease, the diabetes maybe also had some impact on those, and we can start to piece that story together, because taken as a single instance, you can learn a lot from a death certificate, but if you start to look at many death certificates in your family, and you start to look at the people who are living in your family and seeing what types of conditions they have, from this we can see that I looked into a few more from this particular family, and myocarditis and various forms of myocarditis came up quite frequently. So we can kind of determine that this family has a history of heart disease. And so what that does for you is that gives you the tools that you need now to go to your physician, say that these things run in my family, and get the proper diagnostics done to understand your own health risk. At TapGenes, we also have a heart disease risk assessment. So in this case, that would be your next step. If you see that, okay, 4 out of 5 people that I've looked at today have some form of heart condition, I'm going to go take my health risk assessment for heart disease and determine what my own personal risk is now, knowing that my various family members have also suffered from this. And it just gives you that leverage that you need to have a good conversation with your physician so that they can get a better understanding of your health history, which is a huge part of understanding your own risk and the treatments that may be effective for you if you do end up needing them. Beyond just that information that we can get from the death certificate, we can also start adding these things to our personal health portrait within TapGenes. Here you can see where I can add health conditions. So now I know that they had diabetes and I know that they had ovarian cancer, so I can go ahead and add those to their health conditions in their personal health portrait. And under their basic information, I can now add that cause of death and their date of death, which I've gathered from their death certificate. There is quite a lot of other information that we can actually get from a death certificate, but that is something that I think we can explore later in a separate series, because there is so many relevant parts of a death certificate that can give you so many insights into your family's history and things that may be relevant to your own health and your family's health. As you wait for our next series, please be sure to visit tapgenes.com to get set up with your own family health tree and to start gathering your family's personal health portrait information and to take our risk assessments. Thank you.